Therefore, my first request will be, become fearless. Do not suffer from anticipatory fear of end semester exams, mid semester exams, or your lack of sociological knowledge before coming to the class. We are experienced enough to take care of your each and every need. Second request, make an academic diary. At least in my course, but I will request in other courses as well. Now, yesterday, many people were asking about the format or structure of academic diary. Academic diary, like your private diary, is your most intimate friend, philosopher and guide. In your elementary schools, you must have used rough paper. Academic diary is like rough paper. You attend the classes and write something on the rough paper or academic diary. And then you read the same diary which you have written today on the third day. And then you will find the magic. Unless and until you do it, you will not understand it. I have been doing this as a student of sociology since 1978 and I am still continuing. Although it is my first class with you and I am a very old teacher, but even today I made a note in my academic diary. Now you may ask, in case you are teaching the same course for many years, what is the need of academic diary as a teacher for me? Suppose your academic diary or your rough notes are like your best friends. Can you manage without not talking? Either through the spoken words or through the written words? The moment you do not make a dialogue with your best friend, you feel something is missing. Therefore, I am requesting you to make academic diary. What is the format? For every student, there will be a different format which you will decide. But you should concentrate on three things: the structure of the class, teaching, the questions which the teacher was evading, willingly or unwillingly. Now, in online presentation, it is impossible that you can ask even one question, because you are 90 students, and in asking questions, you will take a little more time than I will take in teaching. Therefore, the online mode of teaching does not give you this privilege of asking question during the class. But the online mode of teaching also makes you privileged enough to write your question in the WhatsApp group which will be created by the 3 teaching assistants. You can ask any question or you can write any comment regarding the teaching or your anxiety. Present anxiety during the class or future anxiety after the class. Now this term anxiety is very heuristically important term to understand sociology. This anxiety was being accumulated since 13th century until the 19th century when Auguste Comte coined this term sociology in 1838. What happened in 13th century? There was Italian Renaissance. What is the meaning of Renaissance? Reawakening, rediscovering, reimagining, revisualizing the roots of European culture, society, economy, polity, religion, technology, and science. It started in a city called Florence in Italy, and the men who started it were a group of intelligent, artistic, turbulent people, led by a person called Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Roger Bacon. Now there are 2 Bacons, Roger Bacon of 13th century Italy and Francis Bacon of England in 16th century, late 15th century. Then, during the same century, first modern university is established in Paris, France, which was one of the most important Catholic country in the medieval age. After University of Paris, there was only one global university in the world. Before the establishment of University of Paris, there was only one global university in the world, and that was in your country, which is called Indian subcontinent or undivided India. It was called the University of Taxila. It was situated on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Technically, it is in Pakistan. But then India was inclusive of Pakistan, Afghanistan, even Iran, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, present day Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Burma. The extension of Indian culture was in Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Vietnam, mainland China, Japan, the Middle East. Now, in the Global University of Taxila, the global elite came from all over the world. But it was partly destroyed by Alexander, the student of Aristotle. I said partly destroyed, the buildings were destroyed, but the library was shifted to Aristotle's Academy in Greece. After that, there was a gap of many years, and then Buddhist Mahavihar, also known as Nalanda University, became the global university. There are different dates in different countries, but roughly it started around the demise of Gautam the Buddha, roughly 6th century BC, and it continued until Prithviraj Chauhan, the last Hindu king, was defeated by Muhammad Ghori. But as you know, Muhammad Ghori died, and he was succeeded by his slave commander-in-chief Qutbuddin Aibak. He ordered the destruction of Nalanda Mahavihar or Nalanda University, and the man who destroyed it was called Bakhtiyar Khilji. Then there was a gap of almost 50 to 70 years, and then University of Paris was established as the global university in the Catholic world. But there was also long wars between the Christians and the Muslims. In Europe, primarily in Spain, which was a leading Catholic country of Europe. By 16th century, there was a religious reformation which was led by Martin Luther in Germany. John Calvin in France, although he was not a French person by birth, and by Zwingli in Switzerland. Many people have heard the name of Martin Luther as well as John Calvin. But the person named Zwingli established the scientific church in Europe. He was a contemporary of Isaac Newton, and Newton was born in 1643 and he died in 1727. Most people think, without any doubt, that Isaac Newton was a scientist, which he was not. Isaac Newton is considered as a scientist, which he was not. He was a Christian theologian, like Martin Luther, Zwingli and Calvin. Please remember, we are talking about 17th century. And in 16th century, Europe was under turmoil. Why? In 16th century, Industrial Revolution happened, where? In Portugal, Holland, Netherlands. The three were Catholic countries. In other words, there are two industrial revolutions, not one. There is one industrial revolution which happened in 18th century England and France, but there is another industrial revolution which predates the British or French industrial revolution, that was the Catholic industrial revolution in Spain, Portugal and Netherlands. What is the international currency today? US dollars. What was the international currency before US dollars? To a large extent, pound. For a very brief period. And what was the international currency before UK, United Kingdom's pound? It was the national currency of Netherlands. In the same way, there are two religious movements. One is called the Protestant Reformation movements in Germany, France, and other European countries like Switzerland. But soon after, there was a counter-religious reformation movement launched by the Pope, primarily in Catholic countries, but also in so-called Protestant countries of Germany, France, England, and United States of America. Unfortunately, Indian sociology does not tackle with this complexity because our universities were the legacy of the British Raj. And most professors of sociology in Indian subcontinent try to equate Europe with England or United Kingdom, or they try to understand sociology through the English language. And I know this is your second problem, not to all of you, but some of you may be feeling relatively deprived about your proficiency in writing or speaking English language. I will request This is my third request. You should not be ashamed of your lack of proficiency in English. English is not the natural language of sociology. None of the founding fathers of sociology wrote in the English language. Auguste Comte, who coined the term sociology and started teaching sociology as a separate discipline, wrote in French. His student and disciple, Emile Durkheim, wrote only in French, but also in Hebrew. Karl Marx and Max Weber wrote in German. Therefore, it is quite possible that after proper training, you will learn your own language of sociology, which will make sense of the world for you, and then your language may become the global language of understanding sociology. And this is my fourth request. Do not try to become the consumers of Western sociology. Try to become producers of sociological knowledge in your language. And here the academic diary will help you immensely. And my last, fifth request is that do not be afraid of asking questions in the WhatsApp group. And in case you are not satisfied with the written answers, do not be afraid of calling the teacher. Sikha, maybe you have joined late. Academic diary is like your most intimate friend. It may consist of blank papers in a notebook or just free pages. And during the class, the teacher, including me, will speak something. You try to make sense of the major arguments being made by the teacher. In other words, in your school you are making class notes. Academic diary is class notes plus your reflection on the class notes or the class teaching. You try to rewrite the same thing in your language. Do not become a parrot. Do not memorize anything. Try to understand. The focus should be understanding. The focus should be on knowing. The focus should not be just passing the end semester exam or clearing the mid-term assignments. Why I am telling you? Because I am a very experienced teacher. And I understand your problem very well. Therefore, I will try to answer all your possible questions during the class lecture itself. Before the formal teaching begins next week, I will introduce you to the major issues of MA teaching during today and tomorrow class. Therefore, what is academic diary? This is your class notes plus your reflection on the class notes. Now, it will help you immensely for like semester exam or surprise tests during the course. I think I have made the point, and now I am introducing the discipline to you. For example, I said a little earlier that Auguste Comte, who was born in 1798 and who died in 1857, he coined the term sociology in 1838. Now, in case you have heard about Indian history, in 1857, Auguste Comte died. The same year, Indian freedom movement started. The first Indian freedom movement started in 1857, the year Auguste Comte died. He was succeeded by his student and disciple, Emile Durkheim, who was born in 1858. Now you may ask a question, in case he died in 1857, how come a person become a student and disciple who is born 1 year after his death? 1858. He was born 1 year after the death of Auguste Comte. Here I will request you, my friend, teachers never die. Teachers are not only human beings, they are also a custodian of tradition. They are a bridge between you and the past. They are the bridge between tradition and modernity. They are the bridge between modernity and post-modernity. They are the bridge between post-modernity and post-postmodernity, which is also called the period of postmodernism, the period of totalitarianism, the period of neo-conservative movement, the period of neoliberal movement. Now, yesterday you were given many advices, and all the advices were very sensible. For example, the chairperson requested you to buy a dictionary of sociology. But in the market, there is not one dictionary of sociology, rather there are many dictionaries of sociology. Now, which book you should buy? Because dictionaries are, I think, due to copyright issues, not easily available online for free. And scanning is also, I think, not easy because these are paperbacks. There is Penguin Dictionary of Sociology, there is Oxford Dictionary of Sociology, there is Blackwell Dictionary of Sociology, there is Routledge Dictionary of Sociology. You can buy any one of them, but it is better in case from today onwards you start making friends. And 2 or 3 friends can buy 2 or 3 different dictionaries. And you can exchange your notes by taking screenshots through your mobile. Now, Emile Durkheim was the only founding father who studied sociology during his student life, because From 1838 till his birth, 1858, sociology was a developed discipline in French university system, primarily in the university where he studied. His first book was written in 1893. It is called The Division of Labor in Society. I am not teaching at the moment the division of labor in society. I am just introducing you to the syllabus. Now, this book is a critique of Adam Smith's concept of division of labor, which he developed in 1776. Now, both are making a dialogue. Adam Smith wrote about division of labor in 1776, and he said, division of labor promotes economic efficiency in society. And what is the major argument of Emile Durkheim in the division of labor in society? Durkheim said, no. It may or may not lead to economic efficiency, depending upon the moral cohesion. In other words, he brought in Karl Marx, who was born in 1818 and who died in 1883. Here also it is important to make a note. Karl Marx was born in 1818 and Napoleon was defeated in 1815. What I am trying to tell, what I am trying to underline, what I am trying to underscore is that every major sociologist was born after a great critical event in human history. Therefore, unless and until we historically or civilizationally contextualize the author, whether it is Emile Durkheim or Karl Marx, we will not be able to make much sense. Therefore, this course is not only about reading a particular text called The Division of Labor in Society or Das Kapital, that is Capital Volume 1 by Karl Marx. It is also trying to make a dialogue between their time and their book. My teacher, Yogendra Singh, the founder of the center, your center, used to say that his teacher, D.P. Mukherjee of Lucknow University, always conceptualized sociology as a science between the word and the world. In Hindi, in case you know this language, sociology or Samaj Shastra is situated, Samaj Shastra स्थित है between the word, शब्द, and the world, दुनिया. यानी समाज शास्त्र एक ऐसा विज्ञान है, एक ऐसा शास्त्र है जो शब्दों के द्वारा दुनिया को समझने की कोशिश करता है. Sociology tries to understand society through linguistic repertory. linguistic concepts. This philosophy, this epistemology, this ontology, all these terms will be made clear in methodology of social sciences. What is ontology? Ontology means theory of reality. What is epistemology? Theory of knowledge. Logy, science. Sociology, science of society. Ontology, science of reality. Epistemology, science of knowledge. Methodology, the science of method. Now there are two types of methods. One, the method to collect data, it is called technique. And there is a method to construct theory. It is usually referred as epistemology. Therefore, methodology of social sciences gives you the conceptual apparatus to understand sociology. That is the most basic course among the 4 courses which you will study in this semester. Once you have understood the concepts of methodology of social sciences, my course comes in sociological thinkers. Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx and Max Weber. Now this is what we have been teaching to students for some years. Earlier there was a 4th thinker who was taught. His name is Vilfredo Pareto, who wrote in Italian. And his most famous book is Mind and Society in 4 volumes. Unfortunately, under the global pressure of global capital, Vilfredo was maligned, and many people stopped teaching him. In the same way, Karl Marx is not taught in United States of America to a large extent. He is a very minor sociologist, very marginal sociologist in the United States of America. The reason? To a large extent, the American universities taught sociology the way Talcott Parsons conceptualized it in his first 2-volume work, The Structure of Social Action. And in this book, he did not write any chapter on Karl Marx. Instead, he tried to synthesize 3 sociologists: Emile Durkheim, Vilfredo Pareto, and Max Weber. Now, after he retired, there was overreaction, and they started discarding Talcott Parsons from the syllabuses. But Jawaharlal Nehru University in particular, and India in general, usually follows the middle path. Therefore, we used to teach 4 thinkers. Unfortunately, a decade ago he was dropped, Vilfredo Pareto. Therefore, I am not supposed to teach him as part of the syllabus, because we follow the consensus, the moral consensus of the center. But I had seen some of the questions which you raised in the orientation program, where you should begin with in case you are from non-sociology background. Some of you suggested, is Alex Inkill sufficient? I will say no. Do not begin with that. Then one of my colleagues suggested you can begin with An Invitation to Sociology by Peter Berger. I will say you can, but you should not. Why? Because he is a Durkheimian. He is a follower, very orthodox follower of Emile Durkheim. Therefore, in case you are reading with An Invitation to Sociology as the most elementary text, you will miss some of the very vital things which Max Weber and Karl Marx said about understanding the society in totality. I will suggest you the most neutral introduction to sociology, that is given by a person called T.B. Bottomore. The book is for undergraduate students, not for MA students. Sociology by T.B. Bottomore. Second book which you can rely upon is Sociological Imagination by C. Wright Mills. Then you can read a book, introductory book for those who are from non-sociology background, Haralambos, the latest edition called Sociology, Themes and Perspective. And the last book you can consult is by Anthony Giddens, Sociology. But these are not needed in case you attend the classes every day in all the 4 courses. Usually our class notes and our reading material is more than enough, because we begin teaching by assuming that you have not understood, you have not learned sociology before. Now there are some students who may think that since we have studied for 4 years or 5 years, 3 years in graduation and 2 years in undergraduation, then will it be a repetition? My answer is no. In case you have studied for 5 years, it will empower you over your classmates. But it will not deprive your classmates who have not studied for 5 years. Now some of you may say that how is it possible? And then I will tell you a joke. This joke is in the written form. This was written by a disciple of Emile Durkheim. His name was A.R. Radcliffe Brown. He had a very celebrated essay on joking relationship. Who are your joking relatives? Usually your grandparents. Since I am like your grandparent. My students are also teaching in the department. You can have a friendship with me, but not with younger teachers. Younger teachers may be more strict. Since we are aged one, we are old enough, we will be retiring soon. We are a little more relaxed. And we like teaching, we like sociological gossip. And we can make gossip in our WhatsApp group. Therefore, do not worry. You have come here for three things: for knowledge, for happiness, and for success. I guarantee you on the behalf of the center, on behalf of the Jawaharlal Nehru University, in case you attend the classes regularly, you will have knowledge, you will have happiness, you will have success. But a lot depends on you on the fourth thing, that is contentment. Human desire has no limit. You have to be contented, and you can become contented with your success, happiness and knowledge only when there is humility and there is agreed to share with your classmates, your juniors. Thank you, friends.